Hello, my very dear misophones around the world. How are you today? Hope not too many triggers around and your evening, morning, afternoon is smooth as butter and safe for you. Surely is mine. And I'm back and I'm welcoming again you all on my YouTube channel. I'm based here in Warsaw, Poland. My name is Paweł Uszyński, which can be translated as Paul Earman in English. I'm a music producer, sound designer with a pair of huge ears and misophonia on board. Yeah, guys. So I'm gonna be back to my very personal story of my misophonia, some conclusions, some of my practices I developed on the way. And then I'm also gonna try to shed some light on what's gonna happen next on this channel. Also, if you think this channel is supportive, if you find it a value for you or for the people around you, please consider subscribing somewhere here down in the corner, getting notified, liking this vid and commenting on it down below so that I know what your stories are and what you think about my story and my misophonic experience. Thanks. And also, maybe I should mention that I just got back from Ukraine a week ago. I've been there as a volunteer on the Far East, actually, Kharkiv region, Dnipro region, and a small part of Donbass, which is really not safe. And that was my debut as a volunteer, so I shouldn't go that far, actually. But yes, I think it's important. Our Ukrainian friends are just people in huge need. So I decided to involve myself really for the people there, and I will be back for sure. And that was also actually kind of a victory for me, if I may say, because I was afraid, because it's winter, it's cold. Also, Ukraine has got huge problems with electricity and heating, so I expected to meet a lot of people with running nose and sniffing, and that's my worst trigger. And I really was afraid of it. But I decided, okay, if I ever find something really discomforting me, I'm gonna simply say, excuse me, and I'm gonna leave very quick. But you know what? I was very, very lucky. When I travel, and I travel a lot around the world, I think I visited more than 40 countries already so far in my life. I'm gonna tell you about it another time. But I'm very lucky when traveling. So I was really hoping for that I'm not gonna get wintertime triggers. And you know what? I didn't. I was very, very lucky. So I was able to talk to everyone, to bring help to everyone that I talked to. I had some humanitarian help. I also had some military help. I was sent there by a foundation called Be a Hero. It's a Polish-based foundation that wants me to feel like a hero. Yeah, be a hero, go there. I'm not a hero. Ukrainians are heroes. And by the way, if you want to help Ukraine, here's the account number. You just add PL in the beginning to get IBAN, international banking number, and you can help them too. So I'm back, I'm fine, and I'm surely gonna get back to Ukraine. And that was also my huge victory, a major one, concerning my misophonia fear that I'm gonna encounter some people with triggering sounds, which fortunately didn't really happen. Guys, and now back to my story. So I finished my story at the moment when I was, I think, 22, and I left the hospital, and I could get back to my studies. And this really is an important point on my very personal timeline, because from that very point, I remember my life much better, simply because that was the moment. Just to remind you, I had suicidal attempts. They were quite serious. I was suffering too much in my family. My family didn't accept it. They tried to somehow keep things very silent. They didn't want to speak out my problem loud. They weren't supportive at all, and it ended up very bad. Then I left the hospital with this one thought: I'm not gonna give up on myself. and I'm gonna do everything to live my life because I deserve it and I want to live my life. And the first thing I did after I was released from the hospital, I believe, is that I left my parents' home. Yes, I was 22 and I decided I have to leave this because if I'm gonna have my mom triggers, and she doesn't until today understand that these are triggers for me that I find very difficult, and they really do a lot of harm to me, but also to our family life, the way that she didn't accept it. I decided I have to protect myself at any cost from this most genuine hell I've been through. With my family, they also have been through this. And I moved out. And since then, I tried at least to be self-reliable, to stand on my two own feet financially, not always successfully for many years, but I tried and I knew I have to do it. And my first flat wasn't a flat, it was actually a room full of students, in a flat full of students, and I found one of the guys living there full of triggers. Yes. And I knew I have to leave, and I left after like 2 months living there. I couldn't stand it because there was a guy with heavy triggers. So I left, I moved out, and I decided I have to live, for now, I have to live alone. And I decided to rent a flat, a small one, a studio one, on my own. I was 22, I was still studying. That was kind of kind of a brave decision financially, and my family supported me back then financially. They could not really understand what's up. They can't understand what's up until today, I believe, I'm afraid. But they supported me financially, I cannot deny it. And I learned very quickly in my life to be well self-organized, to clean my things up, to cook for myself, to do all the household chores that I find very pleasant, and I like them until very today. And it was actually good, you know, all this in my life. That was the first thing. The second thing is that I got back to my studies, and I was able finally to focus because I started making decisions before 22, that was the year I'm born, 1980. Before I was 22 years old in 2002, year 2002, I didn't make any decisions in life. I was floating and I was enslaved by misophonia and somehow by my own family, I'm afraid. And that was the moment I started making any real life decisions. It was very new to me, and many years will pass until I finally understand that I'm a fully self-reliable, stable human being, deserving making my own decisions and executing them. Can you believe? I mean, there are probably many of you suffering a lot in your families, at your workplace, because you feel you are not understood. You are not somehow taken care of with your condition, and it makes you feel absolutely helpless and enslaved. And I want to tell you this, and I'm going to repeat it very often in every topic we're going to discuss. It doesn't have to be like this. Misophonia is not like a postponed death sentence written on you that you have to suffer on all your life to one day finally pass away like everybody does. But the way of your life doesn't have to be a suffering sentence. And I take full responsibility for what I say. It doesn't have to be like this. And the first moment I understood it, I started understanding it was when I was 22 years old and I started making my first own decisions to save myself from more suffering, which I was not able to handle anymore in my life. And I also decided to continue my psychotherapy and my medical therapy, I was taking heavy antidepressants. And also, I was doing some psychotherapy in a very renowned public institution in Poland. And I remember this. I had a doctor. And she denied my misophonia. She thought I just suffer from heavy obsessive-compulsive disorder with depression. But she didn't ask about the source of this obsessive-compulsive disorder and depression. And I was trying to tell her that I've got this hearing thing, that things make me really feeling bad, some sounds. And you know what? I remember this very well. She denied it. She said, "No, Mr. Paul, you cannot diagnose yourself. We know what's up with you. This is just OCD." And I said, "No, I remember this. I was studying literature. I was very much into psychology, philosophy, sociology during my studies. When I got from the hospital, I was digesting a lot of knowledge back then." And I said, "No." And I remember I told her, "This is something new that is not there in your catalogs, in your ICD, International Catalog of Diseases made by World Health Organization. I checked out, there was nothing like this thing I was having." And I told this doctor, "This is not OCD. OCD is just a side effect of what's going on with me and of my family context, because my family makes me suffer even more because they don't understand and they don't accept me with this." And she said, "Come on." And I said, "I remember this. Mark my words, doctor, because there will be a day that this thing will get a name, and then you will learn what's up with me and that this is not OCD. I remember this, I said it." And therapy was over anyway. I was ready to quit, but I didn't have to because it was over. And then I got back to my studies, which was cool because I released a lot of stress. I found some basic safe space in my life for myself, though I struggled with my feel of safety for many years. I had to build it from scratch because my family, my mom, learned me only this, that I'm an enemy of all people. All the people are my possible enemies, and there is no safe place for me in life, even for a minute. That was me, 22 years old, and I had to learn, define my feel of space and my practices of creating safe space for myself for many, many upcoming years. And I got back to studies. I opened up a bit for the people around because I was extremely antisocial. I was very afraid of people. And I decided to open up a bit. I was absolutely sure that people hate me, that I'm a bad person, that I'm an egoist, because that was what I was told during my whole lifetime, actually. That not only I suffer, but I'm an egoist and I'm a bad person, actually, that makes artificial problems for himself and other people. And I wasn't ready to trust other people giving me feedback that, hey, actually we like you, you're a cool guy, you're very sensitive, you're very smart. Because I do think these are my positive sides. I am sensitive, I'm kind of smart. Don't worry, I seriously have very many negative sides as well, which I'm aware of, but I wasn't kind of able to accept my new self. I had to construct it. But it started. I opened the door a bit for my new life. And then I finished studies very successfully. I was offered a PhD in linguistics, which I didn't want to take. I wanted to go with literature, with poetry, contemporary poetry. Yeah, that was my thing. but my brain was so overheated with reading, and also I still had huge problems with connecting myself with other people and reality. I felt many times disconnected emotionally, cognitively from reality, from other people, and there was a lot of work to do. And being a clerk, being a scientist, a human science researcher didn't help. And I had this intuition that it's not good for my life, for my health, to study literature right now. And I quit. I remember this day as well. I told my professor, Professor, this PhD makes no sense. I'm not going to make it. And I took all my documents, I rolled them like this, and I put them in a bin, like this. And he looked at me. He was a really cool, understanding guy. He was a great person. Professor Zhenievich was his name. He passed away last year. He said, I fully understand you. I can see it in you that it's not going to work. Okay, I'm going to fix it for you. Don't worry. And I never saw this guy again. And I quit. And then I still was into literature. Then I got into culture management, writing some, let's say, some cultural journalism. I started meeting people. I started enjoying actually meeting people. I started feeling that, hey, I am a cool guy. I became very energetic, very open, but I couldn't handle many things in my life, like, for example, conflict situations. Another thing that my family never taught me, and still my family has no idea how to solve conflicts. I'm going to talk about my family maybe the other time, or maybe I'm not going to make a separate episode on it because this is very personal. And I probably should not reveal too much from my family life, which is good for those people. I have no contact with my family for now, and it's my very firm, consequent decision. Anyway, I opened up. I started like enjoying even life. I decided that, hey, maybe I start doing some music when I was 28. I started playing some keyboards and doing some sound. After I thought maybe literature is really not for me. And also, when I was 27 years old, I remember this. It was my dad who first showed me an article in a newspaper called Zwierciadło. It's called The Mirror in English. There was a first printed article about misophonia. Or it was on the web, I don't remember. But it was in Zwierciadło magazine. And it was called Misophonia, and it was exactly me in this. And it changed everything. It changed everything. Because I realized that I was right with this stupid doctor who told me, don't diagnose yourself. It's just OCD. It was an amazing feel that I know who I am, and I know what my life is and can be. And you can't break it. You can't break me anymore. And misophonia can't break me. And I learned, holy cow, I'm not alone. Because things described, it was pure shock. It was all about me, and I realized there are more people like me, which was a lifesaver again of some kind. And I remember I've been crying for 2 weeks. I stopped studying. I stopped being active in any area because the emotional load I released that moment was immense. I've had something like this once in my life. I've been crying day by day for 2 weeks only. Because I understood I have the right to be myself. I empowered myself with this fact that I was right in front of a really bad, destructive doctor. And I have the right to expect reality somehow support me in my condition. And I have the right to find my own space in this world and talk about what's going on with me. Because that was the missing point. Also one of missing points from my family. My family never had this skill, basic skill of talking out this problem, as many other problems, loud and open. And that all changed this very day. And I remember then I went for a very good, roughly same time, for a very good individual psychotherapy with a therapist. Her name was Małgosia, Margaret in English, in a very well-renowned institution as well. It was a paid one. And I spent there almost 2 years. And we didn't really focus on misophonia itself, but we focused on my family relations a lot. And this lady, she was like roughly my age. I saved myself before as a human being. I literally saved my existence. Okay, but she saved me as a human being, as a person that not only can survive, but can become someone in life. She showed me my potential, that I not only am allowed to talk out problems, I have very specific tools in my hands to talk out problems. Are we recording? Yes. I have every right to shape reality around me and to communicate my needs to the world. I have every right to avoid crisis in my life. I have every right to be a happy person. So it was, again, next level thing. And I remember I quit this therapy earlier than she wanted me to, but it was a very good decision because I was ready. No, this is exactly what I need to know. Now I'm going to handle it myself. And I remember she wasn't happy with me breaking this therapy because she thought I'm escaping something. And I don't really think I convinced her that, no, I'm fine. And this is my decision, that from this very point, I'm taking it myself. And that was exactly the moment. I was, I think, 28 years old, and that was my last therapy in my life, like a real therapy around my family and stuff, because since then I really started understanding things in me, in my family, in the world, and I gave myself a chance to become a very normal person. And still I was through very severe depressive crisis for a couple of times. Yes, I was. Yes, I felt very insecure. Yes, misophonia was still killing me in many situations, mentally, emotionally, in my family and not only. I was very unsuccessful with relationships with girls, because that was still the thing it needed most time to open up in the front of a close person, a girl. I'm a heterosexual person, simply. And being close to a girl was the most difficult thing, because I wasn't close both to my mom and sister, and there was huge struggle between us, and I had no pattern of any correct behavior there, and I was panicking actually. And I've been through financial crisis, some professional crisis after I finished studies, because misophonia didn't let me work in a couple of places, and I had to quit working in a couple of places because of misophonia. I remember this. And also, close romantic relationships. These were all things I had to still fight a lot. and I've been struggling. And then when I was 28, I decided I'm gonna set up an audio business. I'm gonna become a sound engineer. I got great hearing. I've got very selective hearing. I like it. I'm gonna do this. And you know what? As crazy as it might sound, I've been working for like 6 months in another studio with a friend of mine. We're still friends until today. He didn't really want to work with me because I was maybe too ambitious or too, I don't know what. And I decided to quit and set up my own business and my own very small background studio. And I did it. And after 2 or 3 years, I didn't realize it back then. I learned my profession, my new profession, quite well. I was recording sound as a location recordist for movies. I was doing also sound editing, mixing for films, commercials and stuff. I also tried to write some music. And I didn't even realize back then that I was strongly inclined to make it my career. Unfortunately, at the age of 28, but I did. I made my first fully positive, constructive life decision that was not escapism from misophonia and from anything else, but it was my fully constructive decision. And that felt also great. And from that time, I'm happy to tell you that my life goes like this. Seriously, I'm upwards, every day upwards, building things. And because I started my life very late, I do believe first going to hospital, being released from the hospital, learning that misophonia is a thing, moving out from my parents' place before that, and then setting up my audio business. All this made a ground, a base of my real life, of who I really am. And I started very late. And that's why I have so much enthusiasm until very today. Because existentially, not mentally, not physically, existentially, I'm younger than I am. And it's an objective fact. I'm around 10 years late with all my life, 8 years late. So I'm not 44, I'm 35, existentially. And also mentally, I do also have this feeling that in some areas that I find really cool and positive, I keep myself young. And that's great. That's really great. I'm enthusiastic, I'm energetic, I'm smiling a lot, I'm very open to things and people, I'm very flexible, which doesn't come with age always, let's say. And it really feels great, guys. And yeah, that's the story. And I also found my notes from 10 years ago, exactly when I was 34. Because the last bastion, the last stronghold of this misophonic life that was still very painful was my family. Because I also learned, hey, when I hear a trigger, I can ask people, excuse me, could you use a napkin, a handkerchief, how you call it, to blow your nose because I have problem hearing this, it makes me a bit nervous. Can you do it for me? Yeah, sure. If a person can do it for me, I said, okay, sorry, don't bother. I'm just gonna change a table. For example, if I'm in a cafe. I learned that it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm allowed to do this. My family oppressed me and themselves, that it's not allowed, that it's bad, that we have to be enemies, we have to fight. And my mom is still into this, but it's just her, not mine. I'm gonna finish today's episode with this, actually. And exactly, I learned the world functions different than I was taught. And it's so much better than I ever expected. And that's why I started really enjoying my life. Because when you come from this epic shithole that I've been through, emotionally, in terms of any relationships with the world, with people, everything is a miracle. And until very today, every day of my life is a miracle, because I saved myself from something very severe. I didn't get into drugs. I stopped having suicidal tendencies. I finished my studies. I made a career in audio. I met terrific people. And it's a miracle. And I celebrate this miracle every day. I swear it's true. I mean, it is actually true, simply. And 10 years ago, I found, even my notes, that I have to break this stronghold. I have to show my family that the fact I suffer from misophonia doesn't make me an enemy of this family, and also doesn't make me an egoist, because this is what I was always told. I was very negatively judged in moral terms by my own family. You're an egoist. You're thinking only about yourself. And I also realized at some point, no. This is the matter of my health, of my need. I'm just asking my mom to blow her nose. And it's the most, I know it's not rational and it might seem weird to you, but it's the most important need that I have concerning my health and my mental health and my emotional stability and my life space, simply. And my mom and my family didn't want to really understand it. And I spent 10 years, and during these 10 years, I was approaching my mom every time with very much respect, I trained myself in this, because you know what misophonia does when you got the heaviest trigger that you can get. And that's my mom for me. And I trained myself, I self-disciplined myself very much to be always very calm, very peaceful, asking her in the nicest possible way so that she knows that I love her. I don't want to fight her. I'm not her enemy. I just have a condition and I need her help and I need her to cooperate with me in this and support me. That's it. And guess what, guys? It didn't happen. It didn't happen. And that was after many years of having lots of successes in my existence around misophonia. That was a very severe loss that I not experienced, I encountered, because I realized very quickly that this is not my loss. My mom, until the very end, because I contacted my family, and I told them this, guys, I don't want to see you at all, because mom she's gonna finish herself off, and that's gonna finish me off, because I still do have misophonia, and you still dare to call me an egoist, which is bullshit of an epic proportions. And I won't let you treat me and yourself actually like this a minute longer. That's not gonna happen. And until the very end of us contacting my mom I was telling her, but mom, I'm asking a lot of people to blow their nose. They are fine with it. Can't you see the difference? I'm your mother. My misophonia doesn't choose people. It's my brain producing reactions to sounds. It's objective like. And the only thing I was hearing, she was getting very nervous, and she was saying things like, I'm gonna die soon, so you're gonna get rid of me and you're gonna be happy. When your mother tells you something like this, You have to break it. You can't let it happen over and over. And during these 10 years, it was getting worse and worse with my mom. Not with me, with my mom. And actually, last year, I still find it very difficult to talk about. Again, she approached me, telling me, Paul, it would be so great if you could talk to me a bit more often and meet all of us a bit more often. And I said, Mom, you know what it is. And now you know I can't skip it. It's my misophonia. And knowing that it's a trouble for you, it's an emotional struggle for you to blow your nose, I'm also afraid to come as often as I would like to come. Because I don't want to fight you, I don't want to make you feel bad, but I don't want to make myself feel bad. And my mom went nuts. And I shouldn't probably describe it all to you. She started shouting, she started beating me, and she shouted out things that were absolutely horrendous and extremely difficult and destructive. And that was another breakthrough in my life. Because I realized that all these years, misophonia is one thing, it's objective, yes. But the way it developed and the context around this misophonia wasn't created by me, but was created by my mom, who herself has got huge issues with emotional stability. And after 10 years of self-disciplining me and trying to talk to my family and try to tell them that I'm not an egoist, I just have one need concerning my comfort, the most important need I have in my life. And if your own family denies it, and my dad and my sister were not able to think anything over after what my mom did, the only thing they did, they said that again, you're an egoist. Stop harassing Mom. That was what I heard. And I was approaching my mom very peacefully with a lot of respect and love for past 10 years. And she was making it difficult for herself to respond to my misophonic need. Name it, blow her nose, because she was taking it very personal, very emotional every time. And she was thinking, she is bad, I am bad, we are enemies, whatever. I don't understand it until very today. And I realized that my family is highly destructive, highly toxic, and I'm not the author of all this in any amount. Seriously, I'm not. And that was another somehow level down, because I quit my family and I quit it for good. But also level up, because I understood that it's an insane place full of censorship, emotional censorship and moral blame between family members. Because it happens in my family everywhere, around every possible topic. You don't do something someone else wants you to do, you're an egoist. That's it, period. And there's no reflection. There's no culture of conversating things, talking things out. There's no culture of what's up or what happened that we can build around. No. Nobody really seems to listen, understand, but everybody is there to escalate and blame. Yeah. And my misophonia, what I've been through, plus who my mom is, it doesn't add up a tiniest bit. So I had this decision many years ago that I'm gonna do everything to approach my family so that they understand. But if I don't succeed, I'm gonna simply put a wall because there will be no other way to save my mom's health and my health. And simply also, I'm sick of it. I have every right to be myself, and my family should be first people to support me and understand me in my misophonia without questions. If they don't, it's their problem, but I don't have to take a part in it and lose my life and lose my shit over it. And I understood it. And finally, I applied it. It wasn't easy, but I seriously had this thought 10 years ago. I was ready. I knew everything I should know about all this situation. But the way my mind behaved last year, this one specific evening, showed me that, Paul, you are right, and it is getting worse. Your mom is not stable. She can't handle it. It's too difficult for her, both for her and for you. You have to break it now. There's nothing else you can do to live a normal life. And I did it, and also I did it the way that I quit any testament of my parents, because also what my family is trying to do is that they are trying to blackmail you emotionally and morally, that, you're gonna get stuff after us. When we're gonna die, it's all gonna be yours. We did it all for you. And blame, making accusation after accusation. So I said, I want nothing. I don't want your flat. We have a beautiful house at the river in the east. And I said, I don't want it. I don't want it. Give it all to my sister, because this is a tool of you terrorizing me morally, that I owe you something and I should bend in my misophonia and I should suffer more without speaking out my most important need in my life. And I said, no, I'm not gonna get anything from you. And I don't owe you also anything right now. And you have to adapt to this situation because you gave me no other choice. There was too much suffer, too much silence, and too much toxic labyrinth that I got out. And it took me so many years. And there's no way I'm gonna get into it ever again. And it's the best thing I can do both for them and for myself, guys. And after it happened, I took some time and I decided I'm ready to set up this channel to talk about misophonia for other people, because no matter what my family thinks about me, I know I'm not the most wonderful and noble person in the world. I'm not. I have way more bad personality traits than good personality traits, probably. But I'm not an egoist. And I know it. And I want to share what I've been through, because I know what it means for many of you. I know how many of you are having same sort of struggle in your families, at work, while studying, that you meet people who understand. But what if you meet people that don't understand? You're going to have misophonia, and you're going to have OCD, you're going to have depression, you're going to have psychosis, like detachment from reality, and more. And I'm here to tell you, and again, as I said, I find it my social responsibility to tell you that it doesn't have to be like this. You are allowed to be yourself. You are allowed to ask for help. You are allowed for your misophonic needs to be respected without a question. And nobody's showing you some grace or mercy, just adjusting their behavior. They may not adjust, but you have the right to ask, and it's fine. And your families, your friends, they really do you no miracle just by listening to you. You are allowed to be listened. You are allowed to express yourself, and you are allowed to take care of your needs in life. This is not egoism. This is not being a bad person. And this is the message I'm bringing to you guys, because all that means that you can center your life around positiveness, growth, safety, and you can become a happy, really happy person in your life. And as far as I know, misophonic people are usually really sensitive people, are very warm-hearted people, very intelligent people, very musical people as well, that really miss a lot of chances because they don't feel accepted, they feel threatened, and they suffer a lot. And I seriously tell you this, guys, it doesn't have to be like this. There is a lot of research going on in the world. There are many attempts to develop therapies to help you out. There are people you can talk to, friends, sometimes family, sometimes people like me. You can talk to me in the comments section, guys. And that's it for today. Don't give up. Never give up on making yourself a better person, a happier person, a safer person in life. You all deserve it, and it's all there for you if for some reason you don't always feel it in everyday life. As I said, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a shrink, I'm not a researcher. This is not scientific, but I believe these are my good practices. This is my life story I can safely present to you, because all misophonic people are different. They have different backgrounds. They move through different contexts in their everyday life. Their misophonia may have different strength, different source, some sort of. So what I say should not be taken universally, probably, but as a small part that fits in some larger statistics, maybe. But whatever is your case, whatever therapy in the future works for you, whomever you meet, there are some imponderabilia that are true. You can take care of your needs. You are allowed to feel safe. You are allowed to be happy, and you should build your life as a happy, growing, and safe person. That's it, guys. And that's it for today. And I'm gonna try in the next episode to talk a bit about what is misophonia actually. And I'm gonna try to invite a really cool and amazing guest for this. I'm not sure if I succeed, so give me some time, but if it happens, that's gonna be big. Thank you, guys. Take care. Hope to hear from you very, very soon. And tell me what you think about my story down below in the comments, and tell me your stories, your moment in life down below in the comments section. So maybe you find some support among the misophonic community that it's gathering slowly yet surely on this small, humble channel. Thank you. Take care, never give up, and see you very, very soon. Bye.